Hello, guys, and welcome to episode number 8 of Kit Room. As you can see by the screen, if you're watching, it looks a bit different. There's 2 people on today. Let's see how this goes. If you're listening audio-wise, just imagine 3 guys on a screen. So I'm joined, as I say, I normally say Mr. Guest, but it'll be Mr. Guests. Please introduce yourself. We'll start in the top left of my screen. So, Andy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hiya, I'm Andy, one half of the shirt union.
And I'm Tom, the other half of the shirt union, and it's good to be on.
Oh, that was not rehearsed, guys. So, and you will find that out drastically as the episode goes on. So the shirt union, I just had it up on my phone to find out when the account was set up. May of this year, so
yes,
roughly lockdown. Was that start, middle, or end? I don't remember. It feels like this whole year's been a lockdown. But how did that come about? What is the shirt union? Or is it German and we say Union?
Union Berlin. No, it very similar probably to a few other accounts that were created during lockdown. But both Andy and I have shared passion for shirts for sort of many years, really. And during sort of the lockdown boredom and stuff is that we wanted to have a channel where we could talk about shirts, talk about kits, the releases, the textures, the designs, the retro feels, the nostalgia. And we were finding that doing that on our own personal channels probably wasn't the right place. So we wanted to sort of join our thinking and our approach to sort of run an account together. And that both come because our thoughts are sort of very similar, but also that being so like close friends, it probably didn't warrant having 2 separate accounts sort of joining the scene. It felt like we could probably run an account together. That also meant that if one of us happened to be on holiday or away, or we don't want to run the account, or for whatever reason, we could flex a little bit of the response between it. But ultimately, it's just come from a love of football shirts and having a platform for us to talk around it.
Who did I swap jackets with? How is the jacket?
Yeah, I love the jacket. It's in the wash at the minute, I think. I was hoping it was going to be dry in time, otherwise I was going to bring it along to the show.
That's why I forgot that my jacket's currently hung up. I also forgot to ask, and this is the most pivotal question. We'll start with Tom. Tom, what are you wearing?
I am wearing the 98-99 away shirt from Man United that for me was quite a pinnacle season for United in their treble win. I had this as a youngster, and in fact, I've got the version here somewhere. I can quickly pull it out. I had when I was smaller.
Okay.
That is the youth version with Becks on, considerably too small. I mean, actually looks like it fits, but it doesn't. Trust me, I've tried.
Many a time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, such a iconic season for United. But for me, I remember like the Champions League final. I remember where I was when the semi-finals happened when we beat Arsenal and put them through. And I just used to play in that kit all the time when I was a kid, and just imagining that I was a Premier League player. So I never had it as an adult's version, and I recently acquired it as a bit of a bargain, actually, thanks to Andy. But yeah, it was always like one to get because of the nostalgia feels for it.
I will jump to you in a second, Andy. But first off, that shirt that you just held up, is that the actual one you had as a kid, or is that?
Yeah,
that is in amazing condition.
It's good, isn't it? And that's been through the wash like multiple times as well. With my mum would have put it through with probably little care for shirt care, just throwing it in with all the rest of the laundry. And I've probably got a couple of other like smaller ones in here that I had from when I was a kid. This one, for example, from a similar era, again really small, and again a bit of a Beckham fan. But again, these are the types of things that, along with shirts, when we talk about the nostalgia around it, those kits from when I was younger and around. I remember Adi was talking about it as well with his Coventry collection. It's very similar, and wanting to buy the adult versions and sort of wear them now.
Yeah. Andy, what are you donning on for us today?
I'm wearing just stand up a little bit. I'm wearing the 96 and 98 third kit, and this was one I didn't have as a child, but always wanted, and Tom talked about those kind of, sometimes kits have particular moments. So Andy Cole scored a hat trick in this against Feyenoord, and that game just stuck in my head. It was back in the time, I think it was before I had Sky, so it would have been on those Champions League nights, were really special on ITV midweek. And I've done some, when I put out the tweet to say I got it, and I think it was maybe on the anniversary of him scoring that hat trick, I found out that the only other game that stuck out in my memory was a 3-2 loss at Arsenal, where it was one of Teddy Sheringham's first games for United, and I think he scored twice and gave a load of stick to the Arsenal fans, but then Arsenal inevitably won. And it turns out it lasted for 2 seasons, but they wore it in 3 games.
Over 2 seasons?
Yes. And you think how much we moan now about kits not being worn or not being used, but it kind of had that. I could remember that was just too long ago. It would have been like 8, 9, 10. But yeah, it just stuck in my head. It was like one that I never had and always wanted, and then coming back to buying kits now was one of those ones that was just like I need that. And I like it as well. It's a little bit like it's the same sort of design as the England World Cup '98 home one, and I just found out. And again, something else amazing about the kit community is you find all these other things out. And there's a Republic of Ireland bright orange one. There's almost the same template as this. And there's a photo of Roy Keane with like some overgrown hobbit hair from that particular area. And it's just really bright orange with green. It looks so garish, but it's also really cool at the same time. So yeah, just like that shirt.
Perfect. And if anyone's wondering, I'm wearing the Manchester City away shirt from 2000-2001. I have no memory of this shirt at all. I was 4, I think. But I have just done an interview with that football for Tog. It's the first time I haven't been the host, which was very strange. I think we spoke for a very long time. I think the full edit came to about 2 hours. So if you think the Kitsview interview was long, wait for that one. But yeah, no, I spoke about how I fell into being a City fan. So find out there. But I can see behind Tom a rail and a handful of shirts, and then Andy a couple of shirts hanging up. But between you individually, how many shirts have you got?
So from my side, I've got about I think it's in the 140 to 150 region. I did a very loose count last night and then realised that there's a couple in the wash and a couple in another drawer that I didn't realise. So I think it's around about that region at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I've got about 140, and then I think maybe another 20 or so that are smaller sizes, because I've got mine split. So I've got most of them here where I am at the moment in my 2-bed house, but then a lot of them are back at my mum's, safely tucked away in the wardrobe.
Yeah. So you both still have shirts from your youth, like, given that I don't have any. I don't think. I know my partner still has her first kit because it was the first thing she wore out of the hospital. It was the '97 Kappa home shirt for City. Like, she's still got the full kit on the hanger. It's tiny, but I don't have any.
No, yeah. Well, it's a couple of the shirts I did have. My parents did give away at the time when we were a bit younger, and I understand why, because they gave them to friends and stuff like that, and there's like hand-me-downs. But I remember being a bit upset about it at the time, even though I'd grown out of it. And to be honest with you, I'm still a bit upset about it now. Like, there's the black one with the sharp view cam, the yellow writing, very iconic, and from like '95. And I still wish I had it now, even though I wouldn't wear it. I'd love to have it in the collection. I've tried to find the adult version of it, which, to be fair, is not a difficult find. It's on Classic Football Shirts and elsewhere. Just the price for it is quite large. They're sort of out of my budget for what I want to pay for a shirt at the moment. But so it's easily attainable. But yeah, like, there's things like that still going to miss. But I've generally kept hold of most of them. I'm fortunate enough I didn't grow too big. I could still fit in some of the youth-sized Umbro ones because the sizes were massive. So I could still squeeze into them okay. But yeah, it's difficult to get rid of them because of the memories tied to them, both from a footballing perspective, like actually what happened with the teams at the time, but also because I spent so much of my youth in those football shirts and playing football outside with friends in down the park, in the road, in the back garden, that I sort of cherished that moment in time quite a lot.
Yeah, I've still got I think I don't even think I would have thrown any out. I've still got some that are in awful condition. I think the things that I did get rid of as I grew out of them were there's no shorts or socks, which I definitely would have had, like full kits of a lot of things. They're all gone. I think they would go in the charity bags, but the shirts I always kept.
I'm very envious. Although I do think, was it me or was it? I have a twin. I'm trying to think if one of us ever had a shirt with Adam Johnson on the back. I don't think so. I hope not. Anyway, or Robinho as well, but no one really minds about that one as much. What got you both into collecting? Obviously, you still have shirts from your youth, so nostalgia purposes, or just you like the idea of them?
So collecting from my point of view, naturally, like we said, with a lot of the shirts we've had in the youth, we just sort of kept hold of. So there's sort of like that natural collection. And I probably think that it's only really started again in like the last sort of 10 years. There's probably a big gap, or last sort of like 5 years maybe, because then there's probably a big gap in my 20s where I didn't really buy that many new shirts. Wasn't really that interested in buying them. I guess it's partly a fashion thing, part I wasn't collecting them at the time. And it's only been recently, since we're starting to look back, that I've started to fill in some of that backlog. So from the youth, getting adult versions of those, and then also filling in the gaps from between. And I think I guess from being United fans and being like one of the largest clubs in the world, they've produced, millions of these kits. So they're really easy to get hold of at very reasonable prices because there's just so many of them. And as it's sort of gone into like the last 5 years, in our sort of like friendship group we typically club together and buy each other like a football shirt for each of our birthdays. And so slowly the collection's sort of grown as we've sort of like added new ones in, United shirts here, or there's the Barcelona shirts or whatever it might be. And then probably in about the last 2 years, it's taken another level whereby we started doing some five-a-side with some of the old boys that we used to play football with. And the teams are just red and blue. So it started to become a bit of a thing of like, well, what blue shirt can I bring along, or what red shirt can I bring along? And I was just looking for red and blue shirts that had a bit of nostalgia behind. So I think I got like the old Newcastle 93 away. I found it on eBay for like a £5. Half the sponsor's missing, right? And it's such an iconic shirt. There's this one here, right? The lighting's not particularly great on it, but I managed to pick it up for a £5. Now this in good condition goes for like 80-90 pounds now, which is crazy, right? But I just used that just to have a bit of a runabout, bit of a play in. And then since we moved into lockdown, I started to become more involved in the community and started to see shirts that I like that I didn't even knew existed, or you start to find some interest around that really in other clubs and international teams.
Yeah.
And yourself, Andy?
Yeah, it was much the same. It was my birthday's in September, so it was always a thing of you don't have to wait that long to get the new kit because knew you were guaranteed to get it for birthdays. And I sort of pretty much got 1, maybe 2 a year for quite a lot of my youth. And then it would be, it's Christmas as well, so let's get a kit at Christmas. And then picking up the England ones at tournaments and things. And then similar to Tom is that I think I got to that point in my 20s where you sort of go, I don't want to buy football shirts as an adult, and then you don't. So even though we both carried on playing football and training and everything, you just stop buying the shirts. But myself and my dad, we try and go up to Old Trafford maybe 2-3 times a year, and then it became a thing of when we'd go up, we'd maybe buy one. With all the shirt print, with all the printing on, with the name set on, with the patches on, so like a Champions League special edition one, and have that as like a memento of that was our thing. We'd go up to watch a game and buy the shirt, because my dad collects as well. But then, very similar to what Tom said, it kind of ramped up again within the last year or so. I think that's when Tom and I started talking more and more about kits, sending each other photos of kits, going, oh, this is on eBay for this. We'd look out for each other's sizes and stuff. And then it was lockdown, and it was 20, 30 shirts a month, and it's being held back in 4 or 5 packages coming at once. And
what else are you going to spend your time on?
Exactly right.
So quickly, just for curiosity, obviously you both United fans, and in the past you kind of stuck around with a lot of, you've not really jumped between manufacturers, Umbro, Nike, Adidas, they're kind of like for long stints of time, but either for United or outside of, who is your favourite manufacturer? And we'll go with Andy first.
I think mine is Adidas, but really disappointingly, I think the thing I like about Adidas is the 3 stripes down the sleeves. And United have been with this, our 6th season with them now, and I think we've only had it was the home, away, and third kit from that first year of them coming back. I've had stripes all the way down the sleeves. I kind of think of that being the iconic. I just love the 3 stripes, and it's really disappointing that they're not on the kits. And I'm generally quite disappointed with Adidas in general for what it's always that thing, if you see what they do for other teams or other nations and you think, why aren't they doing that? Surely, United are one of those top tier clubs that they've got with Bayern, Juve, Real Madrid, and you just think, what are you? So I do still like Adidas, even though they've not perhaps done as well as they could have with us. And then it would just have to be the classic Umbro. I have a weird thing with Nike, and I think that was around the time I stopped collecting or stopped getting those shirts every year. And I have actually gone back and got a lot of the kits because I do think they are quite nice. I just didn't pick them up at the time, I guess.
Yeah, and then from my point of view, it's my favourite's got to be like 90s Umbro. Big fan of that. I also think they did some really great kits for like other clubs, like Spurs springs to mind. I think they had some great ones. Forest also had some really great 90s kits. And that's the thing, I think, when you talk about favourite manufacturers, is there's a period in time as well that I think you would that sort of has that that you sort of reminisce with or side with, because I think that if you could say Umbro mid noughties, like between 2000, like around 2005-ish, I struggle to think of any iconic kits that really came out from that. I could be doing a bit of disservice, but I know that there's the Taylor by Umbro around then, actually. That was pretty decent, but I think for me, the 90s was the favourite. If I go for a modern kit manufacturer, I'm really impressed with what Hummel are doing at the moment. And I know that sits outside of what United have done, but I really sort of sit up and took note of some of the stuff they've done this year. It feels like they've really taken note on what clubs' histories and their previous kits are, and have brought them forwards, but not done it in a grotesque way. It seems to be quite respectful to whatever the designs they based it on. And I think the stuff they've done for like Charlton, Bristol City, Middlesbrough, for example, that's just a handful, have been brilliant. And then they've done some more like, I think the stuff they've done with Everton, although it's like sort of like less wild in comparison to likes of Coventry, it still looks great, still looks really sleek, still looks really clean. And I think that they're covering a few bases here, and they haven't pigeoned themselves into, oh, they just do the retro styles, or, oh, they always do the crazy kits. They've sort of covered their bases quite neatly. And the only one kit I don't particularly like from them is the Newport County, the Exiles one with the big X on the front. But I think they're doing some great stuff, and I think that they take care of the clubs that they're in. And I would love them to be United manufacturer, but I just don't. I think it's always going to be an Adidas or a Nike for me because of the manufacturing capabilities. And I think they've got such a global reach that that probably limits the pool of manufacturers that a club like United would go for.
100%. I also had to apologise. My square didn't light up, but if you did hear an ice cream van outside my window playing the Match of the Day theme tune, I apologise. Was that picked up?
Yeah, how much you paying?
Pardon?
How much did you pay him?
I don't know where it's come from because it's not been here all week. It's like 10 degrees. Who's buying an ice cream today? Anyway, let's take a look into your guys' collection. We already know roughly how many shirts you have. We know why you got into collecting. Do you remember kind of what lit the fire under your bellies again? Like you say, you kind of stopped for a bit. What ignited the flame to collect again, if you remember? And we'll go with Tom first.
It's a good one. I'm reigniting the belly. I would say, going back to some of the comments mentioned earlier, just in terms of that 5-a-side, that 6-a-side, in trying to pick out a couple of old kits for really what was like next to nothing money. So like that Newcastle one I just showed was about like a £5 or whatever, and I managed to find a couple of old Barcelona away ones, like, and I'm talking 2008, like the quite light blue, maybe even like it's around that era. I've definitely got my seasons wrong, but it's a really sort of like light blue.
Yeah.
It probably don't usually lean towards light blue kits, but I'll make some exceptions when it's Barcelona, right? So it's like those, and because I was trying to go down the blue and red routes for the 5-a-side, that sort of opened up the gate a bit towards going down, and then slowly it's like PSV, and then slowly the budget increased a little bit, and it's like, well, what could I get for £10? What could I get for 12, 15, 20? And you start to find you can get some more and more extravagant ones, and that Boca one up here was one of those ones as well, because I sort of increased the budget up a bit. I think I managed to get that for like £22, something like that.
Wow.
I'm really proud of, because I think that's still a really great bargain, because that's a centenary version that they released without the Pepsi sponsor on it. So it says across the front it's 1905 to 2005 across the middle. But like that's when it started to like reignite it and realize actually there's so much more around, and what we learned from the kit community before we jumped into it is actually starting to pick up a bit more knowledge in terms of things like tags and fakes and stuff like that, because Andy and I, probably like a lot of people within the community, and maybe even yourself, Ollie, but we've been stung by fakes. Like they look great, they look genuine, and then you get them. And actually, we went back through a lot of our collections and stuff where we'd started, and actually realised there's a couple of fake ones in there. We had no idea because the fakes were that good. And a couple come, they're obvious, telltale signs. The designs are off, the labels aren't right, badges are not quite sewn in properly. But some have come and they're good. They're hard to tell, but some of the knowledge on the tags and some other little bits and pieces is sort of really sort of like widened our thought process on that, and made us a lot more vigilant, I think.
And yourself, Andy?
I think it was, I've always been aware of classic football shirts, and then I started broadening that. I think for them, I'd mainly used them for buying end of season stuff from them. Things like when it was Tom's stag do, we did a little Zorb football, and I got myself, people used to say I look like Bentner, so I got myself a Denmark Bentner shirt, probably not with a beard, but I do look like him. I took the glasses off. And we got Tom a Gattuso, I think it was Italy, maybe 06 World Cup or something like that, gold print on, that were really good. Maybe we sort of paid like between 30 and 40, really, with the tags on. So I became aware of them, and then it was broadening that search of finding maybe Classic 11, Vintage, and a few of the others, but without ever going on to eBay. And then it was conversations with my dad, who's been on eBay for years, selling and buying loads of random collections and things, and we just got into shirts, and he got me 4 or 5 for my birthday last year. And then it's just that spiral of conversation between starting to follow all the suggested kit accounts on Twitter, and then it opens your everything up to that whole new world of things you didn't even realize were out there. And it's just that all the time there's conversations, again, like with Tom, it's back and forth to dad going, have you seen this shirt? This shirt's on there for £5. And you just build up your knowledge. So something that Tom and I found ourselves doing is we quite often get asked about, can you have a look at these tags for us for the United shirts? And it's just through having them ourselves. And I think we've probably got quite a good eye for them to begin with, but then it's that just trying to help people out and answer questions, and that's really good. So there's always somebody out there on Twitter you can go, oh, can you just check your shirt for me, because I just want to match it up to the one I'm looking at. And that's so valuable. All those things I never knew existed. Sometimes you just look, and like Tom said, you could just go, yeah, I know that's a fake, because I've got quite a good photographic memory, and just go, oh, it's just something's off. But it's that actually having like official thing of the product code and other things like that to go, yeah, it's definitely not real. Those things have been really valuable as part of that whole community thing.
Yeah,
100%. There's always someone. Yeah, you say there's always someone to go to, and you're always going to get a response from someone as well. What's the latest shirt that you bought or that has arrived? If it's that Barcelona one behind Andy, I'm guessing was that from the M&M drop?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I bought one in the that was one I bought in the end of season Nike sale, because that was one I liked, and I kind of held off for a while and did manage to pick it up in the sale. But then that one, I got the Vapor version, and it's stunning, that the level of detail and the stitching of the like shiny bit and the non-shiny bit in the badge thing on the whole pattern on the shirt is just stunning. And I did pick up a second goalie top, the third goalie top with the multicolored pink kind of effect on it, because what do you need more than one of those? Two of those. And yeah, I got a Messi shirt as well. It's the first Messi shirt I've got. I think I can't remember who you were talking to before, but just saying that you don't want to get to 10-15 years time and think, I really wish I would have picked a Messi shirt up at some point, but to get it for 25 quid was too good to turn down.
Yeah, that really annoyed me because I missed the United. No, 'cause I missed the Messi shirt. I bought the one behind you in Vapor as well, and then went back and I saw they still had Messi ones in a medium, and I was like, oh, do I? Because like a Messi shirt with or without tags, like it can be a year later, and there's like 50 quid added onto its original price already. It's insane. I do need to get a Messi shirt, but then would have been my best opportunity to, and I didn't. And then I went back on, they were out of stock. I think the Daily retweeted saying that they might be doing another Barca drop. I'm not too sure. So hopefully I can get one then. But until then, I will continue to kick myself.
Yeah. I think in all fairness, like it wouldn't be too hard if you wanted to go and find a Messi shirt, right? And because he's played for the club for so long and he's their iconic member, that, to find one on eBay would be quite easy to do, and you wouldn't have too much trouble. But the fact that it's like last season's brand new, fresh out of the box, I get where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah, and what was your latest shirt, Tom?
Yeah, so I've been doing Stoptober. So I've been, which I know is for drinking or smoking or whatever, but we're starting to find that the shirts were a bit of addiction. But saying that, the Andy did pick up some Barcelona shirts for me in that M&M drop, which was the 1st of October. So I started on the 2nd, and he'd also carried over. So I had the Barcelona shirt, so still in a bag that Andy popped in for me. So I had that one, which is a Messi one. Then he'd also had, so basically my delivery drop was from Andy when he popped over a couple of days ago. He then had a couple of Man United shirts that he picked up off of eBay for us, off the Fanatics store, that he'd got earlier in September when they were doing a drop. And then he'd also was holding on to this little number for me, which he'd also got for me in September. So he'd sort of, in a couple of other orders, we sometimes sort of buddy up if we see there's an offer or whatever, like Andy might be working or I might be working, or we might just like grab a few bits, which is really helpful. And then they sort of like pile up at each of our places, and then we do a big shirt exchange, which is quite nice. It's almost like mini Christmas every time. But yeah, those are my recent ones, but nothing new, I guess, from for nearly a whole month now.
I was going to say fair play, because I've said that I'm going to do Stoptober about 3 times, and I made about 5 purchases. So you have a lot more willpower than myself. With terms of anecdotes and shirts, have you got any fun particular ones, be it an experience while you were wearing it or just how you acquired the shirt? Was there any interesting things that have happened whilst getting one?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off on this one because I got a couple to share that I quite like. So the first one's quite a random one, and it's this Indonesian League
quite random.
3 team. And so when you've got a bit of a hobby when you're pulling out some random ones that no one's really ever heard of. There's a team called Persibanga, which again, the name's amazing, but the only way I came to acquire it is because I'd asked my sister before my birthday. She was like, "What do you want?" And I said, "Go on Classic Shirts and just find me an outrageous shirt." And it was between this or is it one of the what's the heck ones? I know you've got one, the
Ideal.
But it's between that and one of those. But she works in ecology and does bat surveys and stuff like that. So she said she thought that was very fitting to come from her. So I randomly have that, but I love it because I think it's just like I would never think about to come across that. So that's great. And then I've also got a shirt that I loved, but I've had a bit of a faux pas with. I've had a bit of a run-in with a washing machine.
Oh no!
I wanted to share you because it's like a secret I've got that because it was such a nice shirt and I ruined it and I'm so annoyed with myself. But
viewer discretion is advised.
I had this. I'm not sure, I think it's like 2005, 2006 Ajax shirt.
Yeah.
Lovely, Van der Vaart, nice. And it went through the washing machine and I messed the sponsor. It had the lovely A and B Ambro. Look at it.
Oh, no.
The white's a bit discoloured. It's such a nice jersey.
Yeah.
And, isn't it? And I've really ruined it. And I'm still a bit emotional now, if I'm honest, Ollie. But I felt like I needed to share that.
Vent that one out.
Yeah, I've made some mistakes, and here it is.
Hopefully someone can repair that. I'm looking at Footy Creations for that one.
I know. The only one problem I have with it, and maybe, I don't know if Footy Creations watches these videos, but I should just message him. That'd be easier. But the white colour on it has gone faded a little bit. It basically accidentally went on a 40 degree instead of 30 degree. It shouldn't have even gone in with all the other clothes anyway. It should have gone in when I do the sports stuff, or hand wash. But there was something in there that I think was new, that was quite dark, and that colour has run into the white. So now the white looks really dull, and I don't know how you get around that without blitzing it with some other stuff that's probably only going to affect the sponsor and the print on the back even more. So I feel like it's a timely reminder to be careful and look after your stuff.
Yeah, that happened with I bought a Inter Milan 2010 away shirt, which should be white, and I bought it off eBay and it was this colour. So the guy obviously washed it with like jeans or just didn't care for it. So I completely obliterated it with Vanish, and it's somewhat improved, but it is still more grey than it is white.
It's annoying, isn't it? But you bought it. That wasn't your mistake. That was somebody else's. So.
Exactly. I can blame. I don't remember where I got it from, but if you're watching this, screw you. Andy, any? I mean, we can morph these two questions together because I think that Ajax shirt was more of and also a heartbreak as well. So if you have any heartbreaks
I do. I'll come to that in a minute. I've got some nice ones. I've got a Beckham 06-07 Madrid one from the Bernabeu. My mum took me to go and watch El Clasico for my 18th birthday.
Oh wow!
Really like Thompson or other travel companies are available, but it was one of those like package deals where we just went for the weekend and watched the game, and it was amazing. Beckham came on, I think, from memory. It was the Capello time, so I think they did end up winning the league that year, but it was just. Yeah, it was, with massive Beckham. It was that time, so we grew up. I don't know, Tommy's he's my idol, so probably yours as well. So that one's really special. I went and bought. I think I've put it on Twitter a couple of times, but I really like. And this one I had to go and get two. So this one's without the print, but the Holland 2014 away kit. That's the Van Persie header.
Fine
And I
Dutchman.
watched that the day after. I just had to go and get the kit, just because. And then this one's, I'm trying not to, it's not hating on Man City, but this is the most random kit I've got in my collection, and it comes out every now and again. I go, why on earth? I bought a Hull City 09-010 Jimmy Bullard kit because I really liked his celebration on the pitch, and that's the sort of stupid thing an impressionable 21-year-old does, who doesn't buy football kits but thinks it's okay to go on Hull City club shop online and order a Jimmy Bullard shirt that you wear once to football training and never again.
No, fair enough. I was extremely tempted to get a West Brom J Rodriguez shirt from when we won the season, but when we won the league. But it was like, if we beat you, we would have won it, and you beat us, and then you lost to West Brom in the week, like 3 days later, and he was the only one who scored. And I was like, I kind of need to get a J Rodriguez shirt now. I didn't though, but no, I don't blame you for that one. That a Bullard Hull shirt is similar level to I very nearly got a Southampton Ali Dyer shirt. I really wish I did get that one now.
Premier League icon, but not for what. Well, I suppose I say not for what he did in the pitch, but it might have been, but very little.
Yeah, an icon for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, great contribution.
The heartache I've got is I bought. I normally get England shirts around the tournaments. There's normally the red ones, and I had the '98 World Cup away at the time. And then recently, in one of my lockdown purchases was the '98 home kit, and I paid £38 for it. It turned up in one of those where you go, how have you wrapped this up? It's like plastic. It was like bin bag and yards of sellotape, and I was so excited. I got the scissors out, cut through the tape, opened the bag a little bit, realised I cut through the shirt, and was hoping it was like maybe the bottom of the shirt, maybe it's part of the hem that was stitched back around, and I could have. No, I opened it up, and I'd made like 3 little snip marks right underneath the badge.
Oh no! I mean, that I think we can excuse you for that one. That wasn't your doing. That was awful delivery and wrapping from whoever did that. And I have seen a few examples. I think I can't remember his name on Twitter. I think Slapman, his name is on Twitter. Is it Paul Slater? I think, I don't know. But he's put pictures and videos up of some of the packages he gets, and it's like, who has decided to wrap it like that?
Yeah, the one as well. That story continues. Is that I put it up on eBay for I hate being deceitful, so I just put it up. Look, this is 99p. It's damaged. It's got holes in. I did wear it a couple of times, and you just carry on. But I couldn't keep it. It was just that reminder of never again. And this woman bought it off me, and she put the bid in, and then messaged before the auction ended. And I was thinking, oh no, she's gonna back out. She doesn't like. It's gonna be one of those. No, she messaged me because she said she was going to turn it into a cushion, and did I want to buy that cushion from her? No, I just want you 12 quid, please, to put towards my £38 mistake.
You cancelled the order to save the shirt from being turned into a cushion. Yeah. There was a shop near me which during the last World Cup started to do football shirts. It never did before, and then they managed to get all these really old early noughties, late 90s shirts, and for just some reason someone had the idea of getting a pair of scissors and turning them into crop tops.
No.
And there was a France Perez top cut, like it still had the name, the top of the number, and cut halfway through. I just had to turn around and walk out the shop. I don't think I've been back in yet.
It makes me want to cry thinking about that.
I don't know whose idea. Who thought let's cut it. No, stop. And if you're watching this, I highly doubt you are, but I'll petrol bomb the shop. That took a drastic turn, didn't it? You were both talking earlier how Tom specifically starting collecting. You were saying, what can you get for £10, then 15, and then 20. I was the complete other way, but I started collecting while I was getting student loans. So I thought, let's just go all straight in and get an expensive one. But what's the best steal that you or deal that you have snapped up?
Um, do you know, I think this one's a bit of a joint one actually, because it's got to be the one that I'm wearing. But I'll let Andy tell it because he was the guy. Matt, you were the one who managed to get it.
So it was. I spent ages and ages searching on eBay, and you often find that some pop up that are kind of either miscategorized or badly worded. And this one was well, I'll show you what I got out of it. So I got the 1990, I think it's 98 Schmeichel goalie kit and Tom's shirt. And these are both mediums. And I also got the shorts to go with Tom's shirt and the shorts for the goalie top as well. And the shorts for the goalie top were youth. And so the size that they chose to put in the description was youth shirts. But then in all the photos, it was like those 4 items were all listed there. And those other 3 items were all mediums. And it was a charity shop. And you often find that now that the charity shops are clued into the fact that the football kits, you know, there's a market out there so they can put them on. And they had 2 or 3 other sets of these as well. And I got it all in for 48 quid. And you think, like, I know for a fact that probably Tom's shirt might just be worth that. That goalie shirt is worth that.
Yeah, easily.
And more. And we got the shorts as well, which are 20, maybe 20 quid-ish.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And for me, like that was an absolute steal because I paid for half of that, 25 for this. And so when we're saying about looking at those budgets and those caps, and very similar to like the black Man United away shirt, which goes for £70-80, I was seeing this going for similar levels. And I think that was right at one of like the peaks in the when shirt prices just seem to be crazy. And I know they're not back down to sort of like levels they were a year ago. I think they've calmed down a bit, but I just still couldn't find a shirt like this that would fit within the budget. It was still going like, it may be around the 20 quid mark, but when you get into the last 10 minutes, it was very quickly going 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, boom, gone for about 80. It was crazy. So I just couldn't find one. And then Andy was like, I think I've stumbled across a little bit of gold here. So I paid £25 for this iconic jersey. And Andy's got an iconic goalkeeper jersey for 25 quid. And also like the 2 pairs of shorts out the back of it, which the shorts could even go for sort of like 10, 15 themselves on their own. So yeah, it's sort of like a joint bargain, but yeah, I think we're still sort of scratching our heads on how we managed to stumble across it, really.
I think the goalkeeper one out there too there is probably the better steal of the two because 90s goalkeeper shirts are so hard to come by. I found a 1997 to 99 City goalkeeper shirt, the orange Kappa one, which Nicky Weaver wore in the playoff final. I found that in a shop in Birmingham for like 16 quid. It's like, how have you ended up here? Why? But I'm taking you home. But I've not seen any other since. I mean, Class Football Shirts did put one up recently, but since that, I've not even seen anyone wearing them at the ground. So that goalkeeper one is an absolute find, especially for 25 quid as well. We'll reverse it now. So we spoke about deals. What's the most you parted for a shirt, if you're comfortable saying to the masses?
I've got the shirt that Tom was wearing, the 98, 99 white away kit. I've got that with Dwight York Champions League print on the back, and I paid a lot of it. I think I bought it from it was Colt Football, but that might have been through Football Shirt Collective. And I think I paid about 68 for it. And I like that. It feels like a lot. For me, it was in the Black Friday discount, I think, as well. So it'd come down to that price. But I was so excited about it. And then looking back, I think there's a lot of those shirts out now that have people are taking and putting prints on. So it's probably not I thought I'd stumbled upon a original. It was probably not like, it's not that, but I'm happy with it anyway. But I kind of don't go beyond that. I think they try not to buy completely brand new shirts, which would be around that price anyway. But looking around I like to buy around 20, 30, and it goes up and down from there. But those because those expensive ones just take too much out of the budget.
Yeah.
But that would be it. That's Dwight York shirt.
Fair. And yourself, Tom?
Yeah, I didn't really hit too high on the budget. I'd rather look for a few little bargains and some quirky little shirts and stuff that probably aren't so common on everyone's radar. The buy-in shirt above me was around about 40, and the Dortmund shirt just up here was about 50. So they're at the higher end. But the highest one was this one, which is my 1990 Juventus long sleeve home shirt, which I got from Casey's kit room, which is an incredible shirt in itself. And I had almost sold it on Twitter. There was a couple of people that were interested in it, but the sales didn't materialize. Just still in my collection. It's still the most expensive one I bought, but I'm also not. It's one of those ones that you're selling because I could do with a bit of money and I wanted to free some space up for some other shirts. But I also wasn't crying at the fact that it didn't get sold in the end because it's such a great shirt.
Yeah.
And it still might be one that I sell in the future, but it's one of those ones that I probably wouldn't sell for more than what I've got. One, because I think it is worth it. But two, you sort of hold that value, and I don't have that desperation to get rid of it because it's old, because it's 90s Juve brings back a lot of like Channel 4 Italia 90 vibes, and it was always nice to get my hands on one of those.
Do you two know each other's collection vaguely well, like through the back of your hand?
Bits, I'd say. So I probably know Andy's relatively well because I know where a lot of my gaps are. I have some gaps in the 90s era, and I know that Andy has a lot of them. On top of that, and probably something we haven't mentioned is that, Andy briefly touched on, is that Andy's dad has a huge collection. I think it's well over 200 plus. So sometimes when we don't have a shirt between us, we're pretty sure that Andy's dad does. So we sometimes get to have a little look at tags and stuff like that in order to sort of help answer people's questions and stuff like that, or just for our own curiosity when we're trying to weigh up whether we could find a shirt.
Because I was just wondering, are there any shirts that you two are envious that the other one has? It's a bit of jealousy going on. Like, oh, why does he have that and I don't?
Arguably, as collectors, in anything United Andy gets that I don't, I'm jealous of.
Yeah.
I think Andy's got some really great Dutch shirts, like the player issue Holland one he showed, because Andy, you collect a few of the Dutch ones, and I have a couple, like I got that Memphis one from this year, and there's a couple of other old ones, and I love the Dutch ones, but not enough that I've collected them. And Andy's got a nice collection. When you see them all together, that's something to marvel at.
I've got it's a funny little. I really like Holland because when I was in year 4 at primary school, we did a sweepstake and I got Holland, and they went to the semi-finals in France '98, and that's the Dennis Bergkamp goal. And I think and then there's been those random players that have, say, maybe United have had like Jaap Stam, Van Nistelrooy, but I really liked as I said before, the Champions League in the late '90s. So it was all people like Davids and Kluivert and people like that. I just have a love of that kind of era of Dutch football, and I've just carried it on. And players like Van Persie now, and that's just meant that I've just acquired a couple of Holland shirts. And this one is another bit of a steal. It's a Holland 2016. Is it 2016? No, 2012. And it popped up on eBay at like 11:30 on a Sunday night, and I made it offer of 40 quid, and he just took it. And it was one of those where you pay for it and then you ask the questions after. So I started doing some delving, and he said he bought it from the night shop, and it came here and it all checked out, but it's got like the rubber T on the shoulder, and it's just amazing. And you think, well, I got that for 40, and then there's other stuff that I've wasted. It's that balance of like the expensive and the cheap. But yeah, I've got that area of I've got like 8, 9, 10 Holland shirts now. I think the things with Tom's a bit different because we both got a lot of United shirts, but then Tom maybe branches out a bit more. Is that fair to say, Tom? You've got a lot more different ones, whereas I tried to limit it. Just to keep my spending down, I think.
Yeah.
Not that you don't keep your spending down, but you have lots of different clubs and stuff.
Yeah, like, and you can see probably we'll branch into it a bit, talk about our collection styles and stuff, and that like, Andy's there highlighting his Dutch stuff, and obviously we both got like core United collections within ours. And then me, beyond that, it's a little bit of a scattergun approach, just based on kits and stuff that I like, and I don't really have anything that I hang my hat on. And I think that if I start to move towards thinking about how I'd like to complete my collection and moving it through, I'd love to fill in all the gaps that I've got in my United stuff, which I've sort of cooled down on recently, because where I know that some of the gaps are, the shirts are easy to pick up. Like I don't feel like there's a necessity very quickly to go, oh, I need to get the 2013-14 away or whatever it is. Because I know that at any point I could probably find it very quickly within a few weeks, if not months, either on one of the popular retailers or via eBay. So I started a bit of a scattergun project. It's just sort of be what's sort of around that sort of takes my fancy, and I quite like old 90s stuff, and when that sort of comes around, I'll pick up some of those. And if I was to branch out somewhere, I would love to get more of the total 2004 shirts with they have quite the iconic piping.
Yeah,
starts up hitting those down, and I love those styles. And again, that's quite nostalgic for that time, and where it came from, sort of like Euro 2004 moving into the World Cup 2006, and at that time sort of being a late teen, playing a lot of football still, and being able to sort of like enjoy football games sort of like in bars and stuff like that for like the first times, sort of brings back a lot of those sort of like memories as well. So yeah, I'd love to do a 2004 total 90 template collection, but I'm also aware that would be very expensive, and there's probably other things I'd like above that.
Yeah, there is a lot of nostalgia that surrounds them kits, so I imagine they would be a bit more on the pricier side. The Holy Grails, let's talk them. Going off what I can see in the background and what you're both wearing, you probably have ticked off a few people's Holy Grails yourselves, but are there any that you have which still elude you, that you're still hunting for?
Yeah, it's a great question. And for me, I think there's like two levels on Holy Grails. So an ultimate Holy Grail for me has got to be something match worn. And ideally, the more iconic the match, the better. So you're talking like cup finals, debuts, goals, hat tricks, those types of things. Now, the reason why they're like in that upper level of Holy Grails is that they're very rarely available, because players tend to keep them. They're in their own players collection. And when they do become available, you have to be in a certain group to probably know about it. And if you are in the wider group that finds out about it, say it's like a public auction, I think, what was it, maybe a month, 2 months ago, Norman Whiteside put a load of his stuff on from like the 70s. You've got to have some serious wedge. Like his match-worn shirts, and even his match-worn tracksuits were going for 5 figures. And, that's because, one, he's an iconic Man United player. He plays for the biggest club in the world, and they were worn at very key moments in the club's history in the 70s and 80s. And so, that's the type of Holy Grails I'd love to have in my collection, but it's so far, like, at the moment from where I am in my life to be able to attain them, because they cost, small fortunes, and like, equivalent to mortgages and small mortgage deposits in some cases. But those for me would be the type of stuff that I at some point would like to look out for and would love to have. But beyond that, you then start to take a few steps back. You think about match ones for maybe like fringe players, or players that maybe aren't so iconic, but and they may have been in games that sort of didn't really mean much. Say like a 4-1-0 win at home to Fulham that you don't really remember, or those types of games, right? Or even the games where we lost at home, less iconic. You don't really want to remember them, but it's been won by a pro. And then when I then take it down to more attainable level, the grails that I probably have are I wouldn't mind a bit of mid 90s Juventus, sort of with the Danone sponsors on, and the blue one especially with the yellow sleeves on, because I remember watching them in the final, was it 95 final, when they had Vialli and Ravanelli, and I remember watching that with my dad, and that's one of my early football memories. And then beyond that, looking at the United stuff, there's some very early 90s sort of Adidas, Umbro, that stuff that I would love to have the originals of. And again, those ones are sort of very attainable. They come up quite often, and you can find them on classic football shirts, for example, but they retail at $250, $350. And again, that's still like, I talk about massive 5 figures. It's a massive drop from that, but it's still a lot of money for a shirt that ultimately I'm not wearing. But that's part of collecting, right? You probably need to work up that way to be comfortable with putting that money towards it. So yeah, that's probably I probably went into too much depth there, but that's sort of like the grail structure I have when I consider them.
Fair. Andy?
Kind of similar, I think, although Tom and I have alluded to, my dad collects, and at his latest count, he's got 266 United shirts. And so I'm really lucky in that the grails, as it were, those 90 ones, maybe the green and gold one or the black one, things like the Champions League winners ones, I know in the back of my own mind, although it would be nice to have them for myself, I don't necessarily need to go all out to get them, because that's part of that will be my inheritance. If my sister goes after those, there'll be arguments to end all arguments. But I think one of them is I would like is the European kit from, it was the year after they won it. So it's got things like, it's got 2 stars above the crest to commemorate the win, and the neck label's different because Umbro changed the neck labels in 99, 2000, and all of the shirts that kind of Tom and I would probably be after they are so popular because of what they are, that they're faked so much. And it's actually, it's getting through those fakes and going, oh, that one's there with this start price of, I don't know, 60, 70 quid. So that one's probably real. But it's just that kind of that twofold thing of, I don't need to go after them that much. And if I did go after them, it'd probably be out of my price bracket. So I'm not like beating myself up that I haven't got them. I'm quite content with what I've got and just plug in some gaps at the moment.
Fair. Just waiting for someone who doesn't know what they have to upload it on eBay. That's what we're all waiting for.
Charity shop.
Yeah. With your collections, what is your goal for them? Where do you want to take them? Do you have a particular finish point in mind, or is it just continue to get what you can get?
I think for me, I'm much more likely to get if I like a shirt, I'm much more likely to get 3 or 4 of that shirt. So this is where you get the collection. It's the variant. This is, you get if I like it, I want it in plain, I want it short sleeved, I want it long sleeved, I want it with a league number on the back, I want it with a cup number on the back. And so that's why I've got quite a lot of shirts, but I still think there are gaps where if I didn't really like the shirt when I was younger or didn't like it recently, then I'm probably not going to get it, because I collect a lot of things. There's a lot of things around my house, like Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter. At one point or another, I am collecting something. And I think the completionist route is a little bit dangerous, because when you do complete it, it's that, well, you still take the addiction somewhere else. You just start collecting something else. So I'm kind of happy just to, I know there's a few shirts I want to get. I've been really focusing recently on getting them printed, so sending them off to FET Prints and other people. And Dad and I have looked at heat press that Tom's probably going to come around and use as well, and just like upgrading some of those ones that I've got that I think would look nicer with name sets. Name sets are a weird one, because I think I had them when I was younger, and so he talked about the shirts are in good condition, but the name sets are ruined just from being worn all the time and washed all the time. And then you get to your 20s and you're like, why do I want that on the back of my shirt? And then you become okay with your collecting, you become okay with your like nerdiness, you accept it. It's like, I'm okay with this, I'm an adult now, I don't care what anyone else says, I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and I get enjoyment from, like, I just think it completes the shirt sometimes, especially like the orange ones, like stick bright orange on black. I'm like, yeah, I've got 4 or 5 of those. Love it.
Fair enough. Tom?
Yeah, probably alluded to a little bit earlier, but probably got some small goals in completing the collection, completing like the United stuff, then maybe branching out into a couple of other areas, adding a few more England kits into the collection. Got a few England ones naturally from being English and following that team. But there's definitely some gaps around there. But I think Andy raises like a really good point, like in terms of that addiction and that collecting, that always collecting something. And that if football show is so vast, and the reality is like we're never going to be the CFS style and like that massive haul. But it's quite nice to have little avenues to sort of maybe pursue or go down. And I think that once I've completed United, which I'm in no real rush to do if I'm honest, but I may find myself, like I said, looking at total 90 shirts could be one, or it might just be that I might want to collect from a certain season, or maybe branch out into a different team, just like some random team. And I know that there are other collectors like focusing on like Bayern or Marseille. I've seen some really good collections for, but yeah, just to pick out another team that you sort of have a bit of a focus on and collection on, to then sort of like build up a bit of a back catalogue of. But beyond that, there isn't really too much. I quite like seeing the new stuff that comes out. Quite like having that scattergun approach and picking up little bits here and there and grabbing some bargains where we can. For me, in terms of the collecting, I find there's quite a bit of a thrill in getting on hold of a shirt for a really good price. And if that's like 10 or 15 pounds, whether it's eBay or because there's a certain like fire sale somewhere, I like the chase of a deal. And I like that, feeling like I've got that value in that shirt.
Yeah, I think everyone does. Final question. And it wasn't written down because I'm only doing it recently, and I don't think any episodes that I've put out have had this question in. But recent events, I mean, many industries have been hit. One most in particular is the arts, where it looks like they're not going to be back for another half a year or so. Who knows? So what I'm doing is I'm getting a guest to recommend either a song, album, or artist each for people to go check out. So is there anyone that you currently have on repeat, or someone you feel like more people should go listen to? Chuck them out now. And we'll go Tom first. And this is where people get a bit nervous because they have to share their music taste.
Yeah, so it's a really good one, right? Because having a 3-month-old and a 2.5-month-old means that most of my music collection at the moment is comprised of nursery rhymes. So Wheels on the Bus is a banger.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah.
Hickory Dickory Dock's getting a lot of airtime at the moment.
The original, fantastic.
Yeah. Bar Bar Black Sheep also is a firm favourite in this household. I actually, in the minute, just in terms of what I've been listening to outside of nursery rhymes, I typically tend to listen to like a bit of hip hop, rap, and R&B, and I sway a bit more towards sort of like the noughties side, because it's sort of, again, quite nostalgic, and I just like listening to that. But I do sway into a lot of like 90s and noughties pop, and in particular sort of like boy bands. And so my recent listen has been, I've been going back listening to Westlife's back catalogue, and I'm not ashamed.
No, don't be.
I've been flying without wings.
I am hearing that song far too many times because it's on the McDonald's advert at the moment. But
yeah, true.
That is fine. It's a safe space.
It's not. It's public.
And Andy, anything you feel people should go listen to?
Is it Dermot Kennedy at the moment? Kind of like him. But other than that, I'm not really. I just go. I tend not to listen to much music, just podcasts all the time. And there's just soaking up mainly football chat. Because if you haven't got enough from watching the match and a post-match and the highlight show, then go and listen to 4 or 5 people talk about it.
Yeah.
A few days later.
Yeah, I'm currently playing catch up on my podcast because I'm not in work at the moment, so I don't have that commute to listen to. I think I'm behind by like a week, so hopefully I will catch up by the end of the week. But that will
all those talks of crisis will now be about how amazing everyone is again.
Exactly. But that is everything. So thank you both for joining me very much. I will put your Twitter handles, it'll be both underneath your name, and there'll also be a link to that in the description. And do you guys have Instagram? I'm trying to think.
No.
No, that's fine. Just Twitter. So it'll be in the description as well. It will be in the description. It'll be the top line. Have a look. But yes, thank you for joining me, guys. Thank you for watching or listening. See you next week. Yeah.
Cheers, Ollie. Thank you very much.